Welcome back to another episode of STL Real Estate Roundtable. I'm your host, Jaden Barr, team leader and CEO of Keller Williams Realty Chesterfield. And today we are joined by a very special guest, Andy Hannigan. Andy, thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's dive right in. What got you started in a career in real estate?
Lack of talent. So I went to the University of Missouri Columbia after transferring from DePaul in Chicago, and got my real estate degree. I get marketing management real estate, or the degrees I got from there. And yet, my junior year summer, my dad bought a property that he was going to turn into a rental property, and my brother, myself, and my dad all went to renovate it. And I was really good with a sledgehammer. I was the best demo guy ever. But as soon as we started painting and doing plumbing work and doing electric work, I was shocking myself. I was getting paint all over the place. I was getting water all over the place. So they kicked me out and they said, this isn't for you. So what I did is I went back. It was only like 9 hours, so 3 classes at Mizzou, to get my real estate degree, because I wanted to see how money worked in real estate. And I knew I didn't have the patience and the focus for renovating with my dad and brother. So I went the other route to help them out a little bit. So that's really how I got into the real estate field, the industry. And then, when I graduated, it was 2007, and there were no jobs available. There just was not. We were in a recession. We were in the Great Recession, but we didn't know it yet. Like, the numbers weren't being recorded enough, and we didn't have enough data to really pronounce it. But the job market in St. Louis was terrible. Like, it offers everywhere else, but I just went and got my real estate license, because you can create a job when you can't find one. So that's what I did there. And like I said, it was lack of talent. I mean it. I was just a bad painter, bad plumber, bad electrician. Yeah. So that's how I got to where I'm at. Yeah. Blue Ribbon Realtors. John Powell Walsh was my first broker. He's still around. He's still a well-known guy. I don't know where he's at right now, but we get together maybe once a year. Still a good friend and mentor of mine.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So take me through, right, you get your real estate license, and then here you are today. So talk me through kind of like the keys to success to building your business to where it is right now.
Well, the keys to success, it's always, when you're still working in it, you're not done with your career and looking back at it in its entirety. You always feel like there's a lot of mountain left to climb. Mm-hmm. So success, I think the successes that I've had so far were surround myself with great people. At first it was lenders and inspectors and insurance agents and title companies, right? The vendors. And then finally, when I was stubborn enough or gave up my stubborn ways and was convinced to start hiring, surrounded myself with really talented people that were a good fit for me, values-wise more than personality, but values-wise and personality. And that's when things started taking off for me, and I started seeing, okay, I get it now. Like, talent, great people, and working with them are the cheat code. There's only so much you can do alone, and it's a fraction of what you could do with a group of really focused and dedicated people. I mean, that's a lesson. I mean, I'm reading a book right now by Ben Franklin, and he says that a million times throughout the book and throughout his career. It's like, we can do way more together than individually, and that's why we need to unite. And it's the same concept hundreds of years later with real estate as it is with growing a country.
So you talked about still seeing plenty of mountain left to climb.
Yeah.
What's in 2025? What's like an area of growth or something that you're focused on improving?
Well, I got married in October of last year. Thank you. Going around these mics here. And so we're growing a family, and my big thing is button seat. AIS is what my military father-in-law likes to say. And I want to be a button seat as much as possible, go out on listing appointments, and then come back home and lead generate and create marketing and do everything I can, coach, mentor, train from from my my office at home. And then that means getting, again, additional great people that can produce not just service leads. And on top of that, really looking for some passive income in the form of real estate investments. So that way we have that cushion if things aren't going well, or if I'm needed at home, but also the business needs me to make more money out in the field, I can either hire somebody or just stay put where I'm at. So, those are big things. They're on the docket for the next 2 or 3 years tops. I'm looking at least get 20 doors to really pad that and make sure my family doesn't have to worry about making a decision of dad being home or dad working and making more money, So that's for that. And then the mountain includes, picking up babies along the way. Yeah, at least two. That's
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, we have the thing that called the 3 L's of the millionaire real estate agent, right? The leads, listings, leverage. From what I found and what I've been coached, right, is 0 to 5 million, it's a leads problem, right? 5 million to 10 million is a listings problem. And then 10 million plus, you're looking for leverage.
Yeah.
Right. You're a coach as well, certified MAPS coach. So talk me through, like, what's the most rewarding part of just coaching agents through like the systems and models that KW has to offer?
Well, I enjoy the startup and I enjoy the being at the top of the pyramid, right? That you're no longer taking listings, you're no longer serving buyers, you're developing talent, you're mentoring people, and you're growing the business and setting the vision for it, right? And then the startup where you're a single agent and I'm helping them with their first hire and realize the cheat code that I alluded to earlier, which is hiring the right people for the right job, giving them the right training and leadership, and then things just start taking off, right? That's where it feels like it's cheating. Whereas the opposite of that, when you have the wrong talent, the wrong training, the wrong leadership, and the wrong position, it feels like it might be punked, So
more work. I have less time now.
Yeah. So I kind of forget your question, but I do enjoy those parts of it and helping, number one, them establish the habits of lead generation, because it is. Gary Keller has said this, and it's a very practical claim that it's not philosophical in any stretch. I've been doing this for almost 18 years now. I can assure you that I've never met a person that this isn't the case for. It's that until you have enough leads to hit your goals, your financial goals, you don't have any other problems, right? And it's either leads for listings, leads for leverage, or leads in general, right? But if you look at the pyramid, right, the 3 L's, leads are at the base, and there's a reason for that. And right now I'm banging a 7th level guy over the head. 7th levels when, you're out of production, you're the CEO, or you've hired a CEO, and you're just basically the business owner and vision setter. And he's there. He's 6th, 7th level, doing it your way. And then actually tomorrow is when we're having a conversation. We're going to have a really hard conversation about what actually do you want, because we're either going to do something differently and still focus on succeeding and finding leverage, or you're going to go back into production. Right, because he said I need to make more money this year, and my goal is to make more money and be more and be more profitable, so that I can maintain the life I have, so I can show up to my kids' games and coach them, and not have to go, you know what? Nope, I got to take a couple more listings this season. Someone else is going to have the clipboard. So those are things that are important. And then I really like going over. I really like helping people get through their BS. We all have it. Coaches have it. We all have it. And nobody is perfect, especially me. And yet, the more imperfect you are and the more mistakes you make, the more you can, spot those mistakes and those chronic mistakes that people are making and help them see through it. That's where I'm at, and that's where I'm effective. He knows where I stand with him. And I love that I can be very, very honest with him. Because he said, I'm just so focused on GCI right now. And the first thing I'm going to tell him tomorrow when I read his text message to him is that I don't buy it, and he can push back. I can push back. It's all love, the entire conversation at the end of the conversation. But somebody's ego is going to have to be swallowed, and somebody's going to do just something different. It's not going to be me, because I get 30 minutes with him a week and however long I check in with him. He's got the rest of his life between now and the next coaching call with just him and whatever he needs to do, and he's in control that I'm not. So he's going to be the one who's changing, right? Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I'm sure as a team leader, you have people where you're like, you know the answer. I know the answer. Mm-hmm. And whenever you call it out and they accept and they thank you and embrace your honesty, it's a beautiful thing, because things actually change then. Growth happens when you stop lying to yourself And actually, then we can have an honest conversation. It's cool. It's a cool experience.
And be honest about what you want too.
Yeah.
I mean, people have different goals.
Yeah.
That's totally okay.
Yeah.
Don't just set your goal based off what somebody else tells you
Yeah.
it should be. Like,
Yeah. And this guy's in another state, so I can say this. Like, he's so darn focused on his image as being a nice guy that he's like, I don't want people to think that I'm replacing him by adding more people on the team. Like, you're not. Tell them that you want to be more profitable and that's your goal. And either they can do it by producing more or you got to bring more producers in. Stop being this nice guy. You're already a nice guy. You've earned the right to be a nice guy. You've also earned the right to get profit because this is your business and you've gotten to this level on purpose. And now you're kind of spiting yourself with this nice guy attitude. So the other thing that Coach is doing, I guess, if you're looking for success stories here, whenever I stopped believing my own press is when I started really growing, and in a way and in a direction that I wanted to grow, and in a satisfactory way, at the speed with which I was growing too. And that's with him. Like, get over your press. You want everyone to think you're a nice guy. Nobody actually is thinking about you that much. They don't care that much. And you're not going to let anyone down if they find out, or if they think differently about you, or if they have thoughts, you know what, that wasn't a nice guy moment. It's just stop with the press. We're good about, saying, let's be the mayor of our towns. We need to be the celebrities of our neighborhoods. Why not be the best servant for our neighborhood? Or instead of, and the best public servants like mayors are actually service based. Why don't we think about that more than promoting a brand or a specific image, right? Mm-hmm. So and again, if that's a diatribe, I apologize, but it is something as a coach I see getting in the way of people more than anything else. I don't want to cut costs, even though we're in a recession that the president at the time was not acknowledging, or the regime at the time was not acknowledging as a recession. Things were down. Business was down. And as a result, you're going to have to cut costs. Well, I don't want to sell this, or I don't want to stop going to these events or networking events. I don't want to stop buying drinks for everyone. I want to uphold that image. Okay, well, do you want to be profitable, or do you want to have an image, right? The profit is for your family and what you're going to recapitalize in your business. Your image, I'm not sure you're not going to get buried with it. What exactly is that? So right. Yeah. Anyway, that's what I got, and I think it's important. I do truly think we had 2 negative GDP quarters. 2-3 years ago, we were in a recession. According to old definitions. Either way, the market was different. Times were harder, more challenging, and there needed to be some adjustments that needed to be made. And some people were willing to make it. Some people were not, because it affected their image.
Let's switch lanes here a little bit. So you mentioned real estate investing, mm-hmm. passion for building wealth through real estate. Mm-hmm. So it's crazy to me how few of agents actually invest in real estate. Yeah. We know how great of a wealth building tool it is, yet mm-hmm. there's so many out there that don't take advantage of it, right?
Yeah.
You would think every agent would own real estate, but it's just simply not the case. So talk to me about real estate investing and your passion for it.
Yeah, I think investing is important. Now, it's fun to flip, and the before and afters are great for social media. It's very sexy when you can show what you bought and what you made it into before you sold it. And there's a big spike in money usually when you're done, and yet the real investing is in the holding. It really is. You'll hear everyone say, don't wait to buy real estate and then wait. There's a lot of truth to that. As long as you're not house poor and it actually is an investment for you, that's a really important thing. And yet agents, we're surrounded by houses all the time and opportunities. I mean, there are very ethical ways for you to go into a listing presentation and say, here's what I can buy it for. Here's what I can sell it for if I were to list it. Either one works for me. Which one more importantly works for you? There's very ethical ways of doing that. And you're not a bad person if you say, here's my price and here's what the market's price is going to be. Because number one, yes, it can be a touchy subject. Number two, they can react a different way if you don't execute properly, but you got to try, you got to practice in order to get there. Though some things that people aren't considering is that there are plenty of people with plenty of money and not a lot of life left, or plenty of money and not a lot of time or bandwidth to manage a project like that. and the project being listing and selling a house and getting it ready to sell and having the house ready for showings and get the dog in and out of there, getting the kids in and out. Or it might be elderly and they just want to make sure that the property is in good hands, and they're going to, and just like they did, the people who buy it after them are going to leave it better than they found it, leave the community they're in better than they found it. All my properties were bought that way. Or it was usually somebody who was a widowed senior seller that was getting hosed by their tenants, and they wanted somebody else to come in, a stronger personality or somebody with the right skills and organization to better manage the property and get a better result out of it. And those are the situations where I'm like, yeah, I'll absolutely help you out with those situations. There's no reason you can't do every single listing appointment you're in. Mm-hmm. The possibilities are endless. Stop prejudging. You have zero clue until you go in and say, hey, would it be okay if I give you a cash offer?
You want the easy
scenario? Yeah. Do you want the easy button? Yeah, exactly. Do you want the easy button or do you want the listing button? If you know their pain and you had a proper listing consultation, you know whether or not that was an appropriate thing to do. And it's appropriate to bring that in. But know your numbers anyway. Do your napkin math, whatever you need to do to make sure this is a win-win for them and for you, and then bring that offer in with you.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing, too, is just practice, right? Mm-hmm. Like you mentioned, like, know your numbers going in. So that way, whenever the right opportunity does present itself, you actually know what you're doing, right? If you've practiced, writing an offer once a day, right, on a property that you'd be interested in when the time comes, then whenever that right opportunity does come up, you're ready to take advantage of it.
You're exactly right. I mean, we do that same mindset we work with our buyers on, and we always have. We pump as much education into them about the market, about how things work either in Missouri or Illinois, best practices and things like that, best strategies. And then we pump as much information as far as self-awareness. What do you want? What is truly a want and what's a need? If you have somebody you're purchasing a house with, have you spoken to them about this? Have you combined notes? And we ask them multiple times the same questions to see if things change. Because, once you get out into the field looking at houses, things change. Conversations change. What do we need to do differently? And then help them understand the contract too. So self-awareness and then, again, insight on the market and insight with the contracts. We pump that up front because the last 3 or 4 years have been light speed. Speed is the best friend of a buyer. If we're out there, we don't need to take time to educate them while trying to write an offer that has 20 other offers already in on it, right? We want to make sure that they have that under their belt and they understood it in a dispassionate state. So when so they've made decisions ahead of time, so they know, okay, here's our number we can't go over, and nobody's going to be blaming the agent if they overpay for a house because they know exactly what their number is prior to that, right? That's the self-awareness part.
Educating the buyer before they're actually ready to write an offer. And that way they know, okay, here's all the different aspects of the sale contract and how we can make an offer more attractive. Like I put together just a simple document that explains the different aspects of the sale contract. That way, whenever we do have the offer strategy call and we're ready to submit, that phone call doesn't take 2 hours, right? It takes 10 minutes. Right? Because they know, I remember hearing about or reading about that. Right?
You're built for speed to go on the fly, whether you're an investor buyer or you're a buyer, this is your first time home or your move up home, whatever it is, you have everything you need to make the decision. It's all about pulling the trigger.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cuts down on drama too.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
So talk to me about building your database, growing your database, and then lead generating. I think there's a lot of different ways to be successful in real estate. And you see that in different agents' businesses just because everybody comes from a different background, right? They have previous work experience that's led to their success in real estate. End of the day, you got to talk to people. You got to be in a relationship with people. And it's really, really simple when you break it down, but there's a lot of different ways to lead generate, but yet there's still a lot of agents out there that don't do it consistently. So talk to me about lead generating and kind of your approach to it.
Yeah. So my definition of lead generation is the same as the millionaire real estate agent. There's two sides of the lead generation coin: prospecting, I go find you, hunting, and then marketing, which is you find me, farming. And the MREA gets it wrong, and they admit this in their follow-up book Shift, which is they say it's marketing-based and prospecting enhanced. They ran their numbers during a very strong seller's market where that was the case. And yet overall, when you measure the data longer, you see that it's actually prospecting-based and marketing enhanced. And so you're going to have to do voice-to-voice, face-to-face conversations, two-way conversations. And the contact to me with prospecting, the definition, again, is a bold definition, right? The bold's that training program that Keller Williams offers. It's a meaningful conversation about real estate resulting in you asking for the order. It's a meaningful value-based conversation about real estate resulting in you asking for the order. What's the order? Hey, who do you looking to buy, sell, or invest in property? What are your plans, your real estate plans for 2025? Would you like to come to my client appreciation event? Who do you know that's looking for a career in real estate? I'm looking for an executive assistant. They don't necessarily need to be in the real estate field or have any experience, but somebody who really loves taking care of people, super organized, and can have a conversation. Right? Those are all asking for the order, right? That's a call to action of some sort. Would you think of me next time you have somebody coming to look that says to you that they're looking to buy or sell a house? Those are all calls to action. That's what you're going to have to do, whether that's in text format, phone format, if you email back and forth, you direct message somebody, smoke signal somebody, go out to lunch. It does not matter to me. You're going to have conversations, period. If you just think your marketing is going to do it all for you, this isn't the market for it. The numbers will agree with you in a couple of years when the pendulum swings back around and you know, the amount of sides goes back up again, the amount of transactions goes back up again. Yet that's not the case right now. Right. And I can show you the work. That's the thing with realtors. Sometimes we say things, you know, married a house, date the rate. OK, what does that mean? Show me the work or else you're just saying something. I can show you why that's the case. I can give you graphs. I can show you numbers. We can even go over exercises to show you why that's the case. You're going to have to get. And I say this every time I teach the beginner classes, you know, Ignite, get your ass on the phone. You'll figure out what you like and don't like. You'll figure that if you take anything from the 3 hours I have with you guys, get your ass on the phone. That's it. That's all. If I disappear and evaporate from Earth, the face of the earth, that's all I have for you. Yeah. So there's that. Now, don't get me wrong. There are plenty of wonderful marketing opportunities like golden letters. Some people, not as many as they think, but some agents have really figured out TikTok and, you know, podcasts and long form videos on YouTube. That takes a lot of work and a lot of thought. And you can go that route, but it may take months or even years to get to where you need to be. And I know that because I've done the research, and I'm probably going that route a little bit with some of the things I'm doing. Because remember, button seat, AIS, ass and seat. And so I'm going to have to look at that for a long-term approach for marketing for me, because I can't. If I'm having kids and I'm stay-at-home dad, you know, and you know, taking care of them in between coaching calls and lead generation calls, I'm going to have to figure out when I'm going to do my marketing, and that'll be in the evenings and weekends. And there's not a lot of networking groups where I got a lot of my business and met a lot of people from that hold meetings then, right? So those are some things to think about. But again, marketing is not wrong. Social media marketing is not wrong. It's just wrong if that's all you're doing in this market. Mm-hmm. There's very few people, and I mean, the batting average is probably, you know, 1 out of every 1,000 at bats you're going to connect, meaning one out of every 1,000 agents are going to be really, really good at social media marketing where they don't need anything else. Hedge your bets. Diversify what you're doing a little bit with lead generation, and get your ass on the phone. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, figure out what you like and what you don't like.
Yeah.
You said that. Like, there's agents that love cold calling. There's agents that love doing open houses. There's agents that love door knocking. And it's just like, figure out what you like and what you don't like. And then at the end of the day, like, I think the agents that lead generate consistently, and it's something that is in their wheelhouse that they enjoy doing, like, those are the agents that are going to win.
Well, and here's the thing too. I think we make it too hard on ourselves and our minds, right? We imagine, again, like I said earlier, don't be so judgmental, right? It goes with everything. It's a fear-based thing. It's a protection mechanism. Yet cold calling, is it cold calling? I mean, if I gave you, and again, we put on client appreciation events too, like the Hannigan Team Realty does. And every year, no matter who's on my team, they all have zero problems calling everybody, inviting them to Cookies with Santa or Mother's Day photo shoots, right? Or a summer bash we used to have with a concert and face painting, barbecue, all kinds of stuff, right? They had zero problems sending them to, making calls and doing a call to action of that. What they had an issue with is calling and asking them for business for their own businesses, right? So I'm like, okay, then is there other forms of value that doesn't involve me and the team investing a lot of money and planning that will make you feel comfortable and compel you to call people? I mean, there's plenty. Like right now, this is a reassessment year for real estate property value or real estate property taxes assessments. And in May and June is when those assessments are going to be mailed out. And we got all kinds of municipalities in both Missouri and Illinois. So I don't know exactly when, but May and June is when they're mailed out. Shouldn't maybe in April, the start of Q2, and you could start calling everybody in your data bank again? You know, once a quarter, you start every 13 weeks, you rinse and repeat. Wouldn't it make sense if you called them and say, hey, assessments are coming out. If you feel yours is high, give me a call. Send that over to me. I'll run the comps. If it is higher, we'll go ahead and appeal that for you on your behalf. We'll write a whole cover letter and everything, and then we'll send it over to your assessor, the appeals, as long as we do it before the deadline to see if we can save you some money. Can you not do that? Yeah, that's value. And you don't need to spend $10,000 on an event to make that happen, right? Yeah. And what about, winterization? I mean, pipes freeze. Yeah, pipes were freezing. I was getting a bunch of people calling me, burst pipes, leaky ceiling, because again, the water gets under those, in the cracks in your roof, especially if it's not done right, and it expands it, then it thaws out and it starts leaking into your house, right? So there's all kinds of, so send them how to, preventative texts and calls and emails with that information. Put it on social media. Yeah, spring cleaning, landscaping. I've got a whole list of people who can help you with spring, and we have extreme seasons, so houses constrict and all the materials in it during the winter because it gets colder, and then it gets really hot, so it expands again. So all those caulking jobs that you don't want to do, we've got a handyman. We're going to text you with this information. We're going to call you with it. Is that not value? And at the end of that conversation, if you don't have the confidence or you don't feel good about asking, hey, who else you know that would appreciate service like this? Am I still your favorite realtor? Right? Oh, well, my wife got her license. Okay. Well, you know what? If she's too busy, or if it's a personality conflict, can I be your backup plan? Right? Is that not a call to action? Yeah, so you have fun with it, guys. It's not hard if you stop making it hard. Make a decision. I'm going to have fun with it. I'm going to bring tangible value that's either low cost or no cost. That's real estate related. So they're reminded every time they hear from me that I'm a realtor and that I'm not a party planner. And then they'll still enjoy my events all the more, and a lot of them will come and thank me for the things I did for them throughout the year prior to that event going on and attending it. It's have fun with it. That's my, if there's any success story, I've rarely failed to have fun with even when I was screwing up big time, I was still having fun with it. The bold 100, making 100 contacts in a day usually solved any stupid spending problem for me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
So a couple more questions here. So whenever you think about your real estate business, your real estate career, what are you most proud of?
I may be suffering from recency bias, though. I mean, I paid for a wedding in Las Vegas and a honeymoon and an engagement trip and an engagement ring, and we're not feeling anything. We're feeling zero pressure from that, right? I think it took me a little bit longer. I'm 41, right? My wife's way younger than me, but when I say way younger, she's in her 30s, but I got a lot of satisfaction watching my friends and my clients that I became friends after being clients first, just growing up and growing a family and truly making this house a home, which is super cliche, but it's true. And, meeting my wife and getting engaged to her and wanting to grow a family with her and giving her those things that she wants. I want too. I absolutely want to with her. That's always been really cool. That's just, all of that is cool. Just making a house a home with her, because it was just a home office for me. And I'm like, why the hell am I paying all this money to be at the market center when I got this whole big office in my house where I got my own kitchen and bathroom? And that's what it was. It was just a place to put my dog, and then I would go walk him, make sure he was happy, and then go to work. And now it's not that. It's hard for me to leave now. It's fun. And so that's the biggest thing. It's just really building a life, because again, we think our jobs are way more important than it is. And I'm no different. But when your life gets bigger and you have a personal life that you absolutely enjoy, it makes the time that you have to work, which is usually 8 to 10 hours a day, no more than that, all that more important to get everything done then, so you can rush home and live the life that you built and that your business is funding. And some people say that within and outside, inside and outside of KW, people will say you're supposed to, build a business that funds your perfect life. Very few people actually believe that. And I would say that a majority of the time, probably 10, 12 years, I didn't believe that. I just said it and it sounded cool to say. But I truly believe in the last 5 years, I've learned to embrace that. And it's true. So my favorite thing is again, building a life with my wife, and it's going to continue. You're a little ahead of me, and you're way younger than me, so you can tell me if it's cool or not. But I'm really looking forward to fatherhood and being a coach and all those other things. To my kids for their sports, not for their businesses.
Yeah, right, right. Or sports and a business.
Yeah. One day we'll see.
We'll see.
We might have AI take over everything, and I don't know who the hell I'm coaching.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's the best, man. Doing life with your best friend.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's nothing.
I'm her best friend. I haven't asked if no, I'm sorry. She's my best friend. I haven't asked if I'm her best friend. I should ask that tonight when I come home.
There you go. Hey, am I your best friend?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So you also have a passion for fitness.
Yeah.
Let's touch on that really quick.
Yeah.
Talk to me about how that translates to like your business, if it does translate, or if you just want to talk about fitness and just your passion for working out and staying fit.
I mean, just imagine if you didn't get a lot of sleep, you're eating a lot of junk, you're feeling like crap, and you're out of shape. I mean,
I think there's a lot of agents that don't prioritize it.
No,
you get busy, and there's a happy hour every other night to go to, a networking event, and it's just so easy to get caught in the wheel of, not prioritizing your health. Yeah. Which your health is a pretty big deal, right?
Yeah, it is, and it blows my mind. Now, again, I'm not preachy. And if I came off as preachy in this conversation, I promise you, that's all. Most of the things I'm saying, I'm still saying to me. I'm just saying it out loud now, so you can hold me accountable to it.
Get the mirror.
Yeah. But it's the same with this. Like, there have been plenty of times where I was out too late or way too social for way too long, right? And where I needed to get back to playing, tending to my business. Yet I would say I'm really working on sleep. I mean, my body only gives me 6 hours. It's ready to rock, and I stay in bed for 8. I promised my trainers, my doctors, and my nutritionists I'd stay in bed that long, but I don't go back to sleep. I'm just basically meditating for the last 2 hours. But when you get enough sleep, you get enough hydration. This is my performance psychologist: nutrition, hydration, socialization, and sleep. You need to have all those 4 things if you want to perform at the highest level. Period. He used to coach he was a performance psychologist for St. Louis Cardinals for 2 World Series. I think he knows what he's talking about, right? And with that, just really being gentle with yourself, because there's that mental side of things. I'm a big Stoic, and I read Stoic philosophy all the time. And Marcus Aurelius is the greatest among all the Stoics, and he says, be strict with yourself and tough on others. But one of his mentors by proxy, Seneca, says, the greatest achievement I've had was I was a friend of myself. So you want to be strict. You kind of want to be your own parent, right? And Benjamin Franklin was like that. I'm still on a Benjamin Franklin kick, but he's the first self-development person, author, in at least the Americas. And he didn't have a mentor. He was peerless. He was smarter than everybody. So he imagined what his 80-year-old self would advise him when he was 20, 30, 40 years old, and he would just do that. He would use that perspective. Anyway, I go back to, you take care of yourself by giving yourself grace. With enough grace to not be, but not so much that you're an enabler. And you treat yourself like a human and behave like one. I'm going to make mistakes. Again,
and there's seasons of life too.
Oh, absolutely.
You go through seasons like having a newborn.
Yeah.
schedule changes.
Yeah.
Rhythms change.
Yeah.
And so just being like kind to yourself, right?
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. I've had 14 knee surgeries, spinal fusion, shoulder surgery, foot surgery, and I had 3 all in 1 year in 2022 and within a year's time, 2022 and 2023, I should say, because of a car wreck. Right. And not only you got to be gentle with like, you're not nearly as strong or as indestructible as maybe you thought you were. And that again, to my point about believing your own press, you got to let go of being the tough guy too. I'm fit, I'm strong, but there's the wellness component that where if you believe your own press, you don't give yourself the grace to just not be those sometimes, right? It took a while to get back to being, 215 and 10%, 11% body fat and be able to, hang in different workouts or in races, from a cardio standpoint. So getting back to that, not necessarily caring what other people think. And also though, but people want you to succeed. That's the other thing. Even though people don't pay attention to you as much as you think they do, any of us think they do, when they see you struggling or you coming and making a comeback, they cheer for you. They root you on. They really do. And the focus a lot of times is on the haters right now. And even though we're talking about fitness, the wellness part is to stop focusing on that. There's not as many haters as you should think. Your paranoia is unfounded. People love you. People are genuinely good. And as long as you're a good and some type of pleasant person to be around for some, like I'm obnoxious, but at least I'm funny, so that helps me, but they're going to root for you. They always do. How many people that I had no clue liked me, just text me or call me and tell me how happy I was to find love and get married. I didn't expect that, but it's like that. So the wellness part is the world is way more good than it is bad. People are way more good than they are bad. And you have a bigger support system and a deeper one than you think. And then from there, it may make it easier for you to go and work out and also have a cheat meal or two and not be caught. Like, me 12 years ago, I thought I was the example, and anytime I was caught eating a donut from a vendor that came in, oh, is Andy eating a carb? I'm thinking, do you know what macros are?
This fits.
Yeah, this is fine. Yeah. The sugar I probably shouldn't have because I go nuts, but these are fine. But I don't even think about the I don't, it's been a very long time since I've worried about what other people have thought. And I mean, it's freeing and yeah, but yeah, to our point, say no to a lot of things like sugar, caffeine, alcohol, get the sleep you need, if you can get your workout in the morning. I say that to myself all the time. Whenever I got to do a 4:30, 5:30 workout, I am regretting not getting up on time or giving into some kind of fire that I felt I needed to put out, So get it in and then get your cardio in. And if big thing is, I'm getting older, I got to think about longevity, not performance. I'm not playing in any softball leagues or pickleball. I play pickleball. My 67-year-old daddy works me, but I don't care about, I'm not looking to win any championships here in rec league sports.
We're getting those 10,000 steps in.
Yeah, it's a 10.
Walking, go for a walk.
I average about 13, but that's because I got 2 dogs. I get about 30 minutes and I'm walking a day. But those are things that are important to me, and like cardio and building muscle mass so I stay upright and don't break a hip when I'm on a fall 20 years from now. That's my thing now, because I want to be around and vibrant when my kids are in their college and early adulthood too. I want to be around and be able to be of service to them, and not just like somebody they come and visit and I can barely get out of a chair,
Right.
Yeah. Right. So that's where we're at now with fitness and wellness. So everybody can be fit. Everybody can get into it, and it's never too late. My buddy owns a CrossFit gym, so I go there a couple times a week. The 72-year-old lady, she looks like she's in her mid-50s. She's fighting bone marrow cancer, and she got her bone mineral density up 60% over 3 months. And she was a little overweight. Now she looks like a fit mid-50s lady. It's not too late for anybody. I mean, take that.
Watching this.
Yeah, if you're watching this and I talk way too much because I know I did, take that away. 70-year-old lady with bone marrow cancer looks like she's 55 and fit. Come on.
Crush it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so last question here.
Yeah.
What is the most impactful book or podcast that comes to mind when it comes to self-development?
I really love Robert Greene. He's got a book called Mastery that is way more practical, and it talks about human nature in a very amoral state. Amoral meaning you're observing, you're a story. You're not saying it's good or bad. You're just saying here's how it is. But then he gives you practical ways to apply it to get what you want out of it. I loved that book. I absolutely loved it. There's a story in there about, I don't remember his name. It might be Rodriguez is his last name, but he's the last American ace. And it talks about how he was a terrible fighter pilot going in, and it had everything to do with just hammering away at his preborn and natural and acquired programming, getting rid of that and adopting programming that is optimal for a fighter pilot. And he ended up being one of the greatest aces of all time. And he was peerless during his time too. Phenomenal story about how you don't have to be a natural. You do not have to be a natural, but you can end up being an all-time great. And then I would say the other book, I know I'm being selfish and offering to, but Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. This book was 2,000 years old. The big hot topic book right now is the Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. Okay. I haven't read all of the book, but I've absorbed a lot of her content around the book, promoting it. And it's just watered down stoicism. I love Mel Robbins. I'm not saying that her messages aren't phenomenal. I'm saying that a 2,000-year-old emperor who was writing a journal just to himself that was never supposed to be published, who was the most powerful man in the world at the time, he was so humble he split power up because he knows that power corrupts, and he gave his brother equal power, his very jealous brother, who was actually the blood descendant of their father. He was an adopted emperor, and he split his power up and still humbled himself on a daily basis with advice. And it's just timeless advice. Again, Mel Robbins is trying to update it and make it more practical for today's life. But you read this from that perspective, and it's just, this guy is awesome, And if I could just absorb all of this and have it at the forefront of my mind throughout entire life, I would be awesome too. Mm-hmm. You're awesome, but you could be more awesome. Let's put it that way.
Great. Yeah, that's great. Quick. If you had to give advice to agents as we go into the rest of 2025, what's your piece of advice for how to help agents win this year?
Well, it depends on where you're at, right? So I'll give you the no matter what religion or philosophy or a mystic said it, there's been so many people have come to the same conclusion. This too shall pass. Whether you're on a high right now, right, and you're feeling yourself a little bit, that's going to pass. And if you're feeling really low because the market isn't growing as much as we thought it was, and interest rates are keeping buyers from going out there, and the baby boomers are holding on to their houses too long, and I think rightfully so, honestly, it's a great investment, but we don't have enough listings to really sustain us. This too shall pass. This isn't the new normal. New normal doesn't exist, right? It just doesn't. And it's all going to change. There's no such thing as normal outside of change. So I think that's the most important advice. When I was after my car wreck and I was like, oh, I got this is immobile. I got when this is healed, I can actually be on crutches to walk around and get this taken care of. And I got to get a neck surgery. It was this too shall pass, And then to pair with that is it's a parable about chop wood, carry water. No matter what's going on in the world, do your job. Mm-hmm. This too shall pass, but what you want to be sustainable is the habits that you've developed and the resilience to do those habits regardless of what's going on.
Control what you can control.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's stoicism. That's the tenets of stoicism.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Well, Andy, thank you so much for your time. I know everyone's going to get a ton of value from this episode, so appreciate you coming on.
Edit whatever you got to shorten it, I promise. I know my answer's a little wordy, but
I appreciate it.
Yeah, take care.
I appreciate it. Awesome. Thanks, guys.